Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, presented by Underdog Fantasy. Use code Mayo at Underdog Fantasy right now. Get yourself a first-time deposit match of up to $100. Then, when you have an Underdog account, hit the description and fill out that survey. It takes 15 seconds, and you could win you can win one of the 5 $1,000 prizes that I'm giving away on Sunday. So that's when the announcement will come. A few housekeeping notes. Tomorrow, me, Cust, and Jeff are talking Aaron Rodgers running for vice president. We got a Cust Corner on the way, so tune in on Thursday. Friday, Cut Sweat Show. Saturday evening or Sunday morning, the research show for next week for the Valspar tournament I love so much. And then Sunday evening live on Mayo Media Network, me, Ben Raza, and Sports Rage himself, Gabe Morency, filling out the NCAA bracket. So a jam-packed, I guess really like 2 weeks worth of stuff, because we have all the regular golf stuff next week. And then next Thursday night live at, I believe, I'll figure out the time. It's either 7 or 8 p.m. Eastern time, depending when they can show up. It is the Custies Town Hall live debate with your questions, and we'll figure out, actually I have the way of how you're going to submit questions, which you will find out on tomorrow's show on Mayo Media Network. So that's everything that is coming up. If you get the monthly deal at Fantasy National right now, you'll get players through the Masters. If you want to do some stats, generate some lineups, and those are two big bookend tournaments, fantasynationals.com/Mayo in order to get the discount up on that. But that's what we're like. If you got questions about the players, flood them in the chat right now. Flood yourself after you flood them, and I'll give you some answers to the questions that are coming up. Smash the like button to the channel. If you do want to leave a comment in the chat, you got to be subbed to Mayo Media Network, so you might as well go do that right now. Help us out. All right? Okay, so here's what we got going on right now. I suppose I can get rid of this thing on the screen. Boom, there. Now you can see like the bottom of my boobs on it. So just for you thirsty people out there, I don't have an OnlyFans or anything like that, but this should be good for everything that you need at the moment. Smash the like while you're out there. Give it a heart. So the final bet that I made for the Players Championship, I was trying to decide all week, and I just kept rounding about, was it going to be Wyndham Clark? Was it going to be Max Homa? Was it going to be Shane Lowry? I like all those guys, but the name that kept sticking out in my mind was Hideki Matsuyama, and I ended up betting him at 42-1. The full details and everything like that are in the newsletter right now. You can actually go check it out. You can sub to it for free. And there it is. There's the player's cheat sheet for you right now. Justin Thomas, 25-1. Hideki, 42-1. That was at Bet365, and that was with a 30% boost. You can put your boost up on anyone. It was between him and Finau, as it turned out, because I could have got Finau up to 90-1, but I passed on that. Burns at 45. Those are sort of my big three. I bet Henley and Herman very early on in the week before their numbers got crushed, because I figured they would get crushed. I could still, I suppose, cash them out, but I'm not too concerned about it. I like them both this week, and I like Hoagie at 90. Now, as it pertains to the bombs, I did write this up, so if you want a more detailed explanation, it's down here. But if you're dealing with a site that has each way bets on it, meaning that half your money goes towards the outright, half your money goes to whatever the placement is, whatever the each way is. For the Players Championship and most of the majors at most of the big books that offer these sorts of wagers, it'll be 1/5 the odds of the outright or what the top 8 pays. So just to take Emiliano Grillo for an example, he is 110-1. I bet him with the top 8 each way, and it's less about the 110-1. It would be really nice if he won. But let's just theoretically say I put $20 means that $10 goes towards the 110-1, which would pay obviously $1,100 if he ends up winning, but you'd also win the top 8 bet, which would be 22-1 for a top 8 finish. Now, you juxtapose that, or a justice of position that, as Jeff would say, with his odds to finish inside the top 10. Now, his odds to finish inside the top 10 with no ties included is plus 650. Now, I will get paid $220 on my $10 as a part of the each way for the top 8. Now, I do give up the 8 placements on that, but I also have the equity of him actually winning this event. If I just took my $20 and bet it at plus 650, the most I could win is $130 on that. So these bombs are more of a top 8 bet, realistically, with always that added upside, but it's just a way to juice up some extra EV on it despite giving up the 2 places. Now, maybe you want those 2 places. Maybe you want all the ties included. You don't want to be chopped. Completely understand that. But this is the way that I like to get a bit more payout for my money as long as I can roll the upside into it, which you have with the outright win bet. I hope that is explained enough for some people. Again, in the newsletter, find it in the description. Super easy. I have it all laid out in there in case you were wondering. So Grillo, 110 with the top 8. Pavon, There's no number next to his name, but it's 125 with the top 8. Austin Eckroth, the Eck Goat, 175 with the top 8. And my guy, if Carson Young has a bad week, I might be having a bad week here myself. I have him at 300 to 1 with the top 8. I also bet Carson Young, a much larger wager, as a top 40 bet at plus 230. I bet Adam Scott plus 280 to be a top 20. And I bet Brian Harmon, top lefty, at minus 150. I really like that market. He's only going up against Bobby Mack and Higo. I mean, I bet on Harmon to win. I think he can beat those two jabronis. At least I hope he can beat those two jabronis over 72 holes. Asian Tour, Mito's playing. Got him at 20 to 1. And Mav Antcliffe, the Aussie, at 125 to 1 with the top 5 each way. I did play some first round leaders. They're all from the AM wave, so I can potentially give myself some hope as I have the anti-sweat in the afternoon just to have one of these guys pop up there. Burns has been playing very well in first rounds, especially at the Players over the years, 50 to 1. Hoagie and Griot, I bet them both. I'm betting them at 70 and 80 to 1. Then I went super bombs and playing them with the top 5 in the first round as well. Carson Young, 170. Justin Lower, 170 with the top 5. And then crazy Carl Wan, 200 to 1. He likes himself a short course. This is a short-ish course. I mean, especially for a par 72. It is a short course. You got to do a bomber's track. Dude cannot compete. I mean, he can't putt at the best of times. So you have to pray that his usual ball striking and accuracy shows up like it does at most of these short venues, but he actually makes some putts on Thursday. I don't give a shit what he does on Friday. It's Thursday that matters to me at 200 to 1 with the top 5 each way for crazy Carl Wan. One and done in our 3-man. I'm taking Scotty. Jeff is taking Morikawa, and Cust is taking Zalatoris. Cust, big 3 picks this week. Zalatoris, Jake Knapp, Lucas Glover. Gotta say, I kind of like the Lucas Glover pick. Wasn't really thinking about Glover. I actually incorporated him into my DraftKings lineups this week, just because I think it's a pretty decent fit. I also threw in this, if you go to it. I talked about it with Raza earlier on. This is the to miss the cut parlay. Now, I played the 7-banger. $5 pays 54,000. That one's probably not going to hit. In fact, none of them are probably going to hit. But the thing that I did do, I played this. So Scheffler, Rory, Thomas, Xander, Hovland, Max Homa, and Patrick Cantlay, all to miss the cut this week. And I played that 35 times at $5 a piece for $175. So it's every combination of 3 of those. So if 3 of them hit, I'm going to end up, I think it pays like 800 and something bucks without Scotty, like one of the regular ones, just on a $5 wager. Now, if 4 of them hit, you get all the multiples of that. So all of a sudden, if 4 of these guys miss the cut, it pays like $3,000. And if we're just going to talk about variance at a tournament, that's all anyone has talked about all week. Anyone can miss the cut here. I mean, the top 2 guys missed the cut in Rory and Rahm a year ago. So we just need 3 of these guys. I mean, hopefully all of them miss it, and you won't see me for a few weeks. I'll be on quite a bender, but that's the way that I wanted to play it. This is the only tournament that I ever really try to make this sort of wager on. It's sort of the anti-Masters bet of to make the cut because it's such a limited field, but they've kind of adjusted to these odds. So hopefully we get some blow-ups from, let's miss the cut, Victor Hovland, Xander Schauffele, Max Homa, and Patrick Cantlay. Wouldn't that be nice? And then we're in the money. Then we're dancing. We're lined full. We won way more than we put in for the week, and then we're free rolling everything else. That would be the ideal. I mean, it's usually just a way to waste more money, to be perfectly frank with you. But I had money in my account. Why not do it? It's a fun bet. I wanted to share it with you guys. I wouldn't recommend tailing it, but if you want to sweat along with me, I would do it. And the Underdog plays for Thursday, in case you missed them, you can get the exact link just to tail in the newsletter right now. You click this link and boom, it will open for you. And it will say, do you want to tail basically these picks as we're going through with everything? But it is Adam Scott over Tom Kim on Thursday. Hideki Matsuyama over Matt Fitzpatrick on Thursday. Sam Burns over Tommy Fleetwood on Thursday. That pays 6x. So if you put 100 down, you get 600 back. That is what I'm doing for Underdog Fantasy this week. Plus, there's still drafts going on for the Players' Championship. I did one with Ben and some viewers on the show earlier today. That was a lot of fun. Might even do some after this, although I'm recording a show after this. Maybe after that, if there's still room up on Underdog. So code Mayo at Underdog Fantasy. Right now, get yourself the match deposit. Then you can go enter that giveaway draw. Like I said, it takes 15 seconds. It's super easy to do. And boom, you could win one of 5 $1,000 prizes. Thank you all for putting everything in. I just wanted to build up some time here as we get ready to answer some questions. So let's get to some of these questions. Also, on DGen75's channel, he is making his return. Our thoughts have been with James over the past few weeks. He's been ill. Hopefully everything is good with him. I love James so much. And his stream is coming on at 8 p.m. Eastern time. So if you want to jump from here over to there. You'll be super entertained, if nothing else. And go give James your support and tell him you're thinking about him and you really did miss him, because that's awesome. Man, this field really sucks, guys. That's not even a question. Over-under people banned. Well, maybe that guy with the first fucking question. Liv has all the best guys. That is objectively not true. Smash the like button, pals. Right knows the right idea here. Thoughts on Vic as a contrarian one and done? Nearly last in Mayo's cup. I think that people will still potentially use him. I like Ludwig as the contrarian one and done. I used him. I have 2 entries in the one and done. I have one inside the top 75 right now and one that's in like 3,000th place. I'm using Ludwig in the one that's in 3,000th place. I think so whoever it is who you think might be the contrarian play, I think is the right move in one and done, especially when you need to catch up. Like, you can't take Scotty. Rory actually might be somewhat contrarian this week. But I think just enough people will see Rory, big prize pool, let's go with it. But Scheffler and Thomas are almost, and Will Zalatoris are probably the 3 that will pop up as the most used in the one and done. I can't use Scotty because I used him last week with a win at an elevated event. That's how I got into the top 75. So hopefully, the guy that I take on my team, my main team, or I wouldn't call it my main team, it's the team that's doing well for me. So now it is becoming my main team. Hopefully the guy that I've selected in that wins this week. That would be nice. Hoagie being in the early wave really tempts me into betting first round leader. Ryan, we are on the same page. If you notice, as I mentioned, all my first round leaders are from the AM wave. So let's go get it. Hollywood, Hoagie paying off early when he's the first round leader. Maybe he can shoot 14 under. And maybe that'll be good enough to win the entire tournament. If Tom Hoagie wins, we win a lot of money, so I like that. Are you still doing a DK listeners contest for PGA or no? No. This show is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Go to Underdog Fantasy right now and use code Mayo to get yourself a first-time deposit match of up to $100. Okay? Any thoughts on the Gim Reaper? Love the Gim Reaper. I'm using him in DraftKings lineups. Didn't end up, I missed out on the really good Gim Reaper numbers this week. I know Byron came on to the Best Bet show and he gave out Doug Gim as his bronze selection, top 20 plus 333. It's a good number. I could, if I hadn't already, overexposed myself wager-wise to this tournament, that's something that I would have gotten on. But his odds got crushed. They basically, shrunk by 50% from the time of open. Everything points his direction. Great course history, great die history, and comes in amazing form. Probably the best of his career. So due for a disappointment, obviously. When everyone's on Doug Gim, never really the time to play the Gim Reaper. I know there's a real long shot. This guy jumped out to me a little bit. What about Carl Wand? Crazy Carl. That's why first round leader seems good enough for me. If you do want to squeeze him into your DraftKings lineup, sure, I suppose. If you want to jam in Scotty and Thomas and get, I'm using Carson Young as my guy near the bottom. Him and Chesson Hadley are the only 2 5K guys that I ended up using across 80 lineups. And so they're sort of my anchors. But I used Kevin Yu and I used Taylor Pendrith and I used Bhatia at the lower 6s. So those kind of evened everything out. I didn't have to go into the 5s. If you have conviction on Carl Wand, I'm not saying use him 100%, but get him in there if you want him. I spelled out the reason why I do like him this week. Please rank Matsuyama, Zalatoris, Homa, and Justin Thomas. Justin Thomas, Matsuyama, Zalatoris, Max Homa. Those 4 in order. I bet JT and Matsuyama to win, so obviously they have to be my 1 and 2 this week. When you do Underdog Pick'em, do you usually do 5 picks or less? I usually do 2. Tell you the truth. That, or I do if I do a larger wager, depending on what the odds end up coming to, I'll do the 2 or 3 with the insurance to get my money back if I only go 2 of 3. I go 2 or 3 all the time, as it turns out. But yeah, if I do a 5-banger, I usually just it's a lower entry wager, and then I just kind of throw it up and hope for the best with that. It's hard to hit a 5-banger. It's hard to hit a 2-banger. But I usually stick to the 2 and just, it's like, instead of playing cash games on DraftKings, I like doing the pick'em on Underdog with just 2. I treat those like cash games. I'm looking to, win 2 of every 3, end up, kind of double my money and move on and try to build my bankroll that way. Code Mayo, Underdog, let's get it. I showed you the entry that I played. We actually put it together. Myself, Ben Coley, and Byron Lindeque at the Model Maniac put that together on Tuesday's show. Maybe we can put one together. Yeah, there we go. Let's see. That loaded up for me. We can get in here. Maybe we can maybe you guys can play in the chat right now. Go on to Underdog and see if there are, I really like the Rivals. The rival stuff is actually a lot of fun. That's under here, under Rivals, and you can do the head-to-heads. That's where we found, Burns over Fleetwood, What else? I mean, that one's tough right there. Scott over Kim, that's the other one that I played. Connors and Harmon feels like a push. Sungjae and Bradley feels like a push. Morikawa Zalatoris feels like a push. Lowry Young feels like a push. I'd probably take Finau over Thigala, actually. That's one that we could potentially get on. Apparently, I accidentally clicked on LeBron and Paolo. Didn't mean to do that. But if you go into the higher or lower, if there are ones, load them in the chat. Maybe we can all collectively come up with one together from the chat, and we can play it at the end of the show. That would be a lot of fun. So get in there and say the one that you want, all right? Thanks for the live chat, Pat. Aaron Rai had a great finish here in his first start. Any interest? I don't personally have a ton of interest. He was one that Ben Coley really liked, and Ben's better at this than I am, so maybe you want to trust him. I am seeing a bit of ownership on him at the moment. Not so much that it's like prohibitive, but there's only so many like chalky guys in the 6K range that I want to use. Like apparently there we go. Let's see here. Aaron Rai. Calculated ownership right around 11%, being generated in around 10% of lineups. He makes a lot of sense, to be perfectly honest with you. He hits the ball straight. He's great on approach. Can't putt to save a lick. He hasn't played in a lot of high-end tournaments, but you can see some of the guys that I've used. I used Novak from down here instead of Rai. Novak garnering a bit more ownership. Glover, I had in, I think it was my PM AM stack lineups. Bhatia, Kevin Yu and Taylor Pendrith were the ones that I used down in this area. I didn't need that many because I had Eckroat, Billy Ho, and Pavon to put towards the bottom end of some of these lineups. So I didn't get to Rai, but if you want to use Rai over the other bums that I use, then absolutely go for it. That makes a ton of sense to me. Where are we? Player poll currently at 25 guys. 13 p.m., 12 a.m. How many lineups would you suggest? I mean, how much is your budget? How much are you willing to lose? I mean, it's the Players' Championship for one thing. That should be what it is every single week when you're putting in lineups or putting in entries or whatever it is. How much do you feel comfortable not returning a cent on? If you can live with that much, play that much. If that's $5, play $5 and try to max out the 25 cent or 50 cent or the 10 cent. If it's $5,000, I mean, there are better tournaments for you to go after with smaller fields with higher payouts. It's all really dependent on you. On the show today, when Ben and I went over it, I made 35 AM PM lineups. I made 35 PM AM lineups. And then I made another 15 or so combined, actually 20 or so combined, I think is what it turned out to be, and just played them all in the $5. You know, I'm going to piss away like $600 in that contest. Hopefully, with that many collection of guys, that I'll return something, maybe like $2 on my 600 of playing those. And I played in the big $250, whose payouts are awesome this week, by the way. It's like they took the old payout structure of the PME Open and put it in this $250, 888-man field. It's like, I think it's 30,000, 20,000, 10,000. Maybe that's way too much money. Maybe I'm overthinking that. But it's like all the way flat, like through the top 10. It's really nice. So if you have a good showing in that contest, you're going to win some money. What website and how do you do that round robin miss the cut bet where it makes all the variations for you? I did that on Bet365. And you just go down. Instead of parlay, there's other options. I wonder if I can bring that up right now. Like Cam, my locator is not working. I have to do everything from my phone for the moment. Yes, you can. Oh, I received a bonus bet of $20. How generous of Bet365 to do that for me. I basically emptied out the account this week, but I like to empty out my account every week and then redeposit. If I win, I can take everything out, then redeposit. You got to pile up those credit card points if that's the way that you want to play it. I got like $35 left to throw in here on maybe another parlay to go. That'll be fun. Let's see here. Players to make cut. So what you would do is click like no. This is exactly what I did. No. And just do that. So then you click on everyone and you can hit your 10,000 to 1 parlay. But under show more parlay options, you click down and then it gives you can put them all 21 times with 2 legs together. I played the 35 times, the 3. You can do the same thing for 4, 5. I actually did play a 6 as well for like $3 a piece for $21 because it's just the outrageous payout. And I would kick myself if I got 6 of the 7 of them and that didn't work out. But that's how that works in order to be able to do that. So I hope that helped. And obviously every site is different, but generally speaking, that's how you go about everything. Again, if you have any of these underdog plays, let me know. All right, I want to build an entry with you. And if you've ever wanted a way to help out this show, it is even like if like a state like Pennsylvania where you can't play pick'em, but you can do all the drafts. You can do the major season best ball drafts. We're going to be doing a ton of those in the $10 albatross. Maybe even max that out, doing it with different guests on the show. That's going to be a lot of fun. The Pat Mayo Experience open week to week is going to live on Underdog, and you'll be able to play in those drafts, even though you can't do pick'em in some of these states. Or hell, if you just live in Texas or California and you do not have access to legalized sports betting, you can do pick'ems on Underdog. You can do the drafts on Underdog. And if you ever did want to help out this show, smashing the like, subbing to the channel, all that stuff is great. But going to Underdog Fantasy and using code Mayo is the number one way you can help out this show right now. Show the support for the show because it shows Underdog that they can send us to more things. We can do maybe some meetups. Jeff and I are going to Vegas for the Masters, by the way. If you're in Vegas or traveling to Vegas, we're going to be there Wednesday to Monday doing shows. Paul and Cody are going to be there in town for UFC 300 too, if there was ever a time to come to Vegas. I think Joe Idoni told me he might fly out and be on the show with us. I know there's a ton of people. I was going to hang out with Rick, but Rick's actually going to the Masters with CBS. That is fucking amazing. So happy for Rick. That's such a like a big upgrade, like, you know, coming from the DFS world and now he's at the Masters doing coverage. It's impressive stuff. Proud of Rick. I mean, he doesn't care whether I'm proud of him or not. Just very happy for him. It's pretty cool. So that's how you do those bets. Underdog Fantasy, code Mayo. Please go do that and show me some of the over-unders or more or lesses that you like in the pick'em for Thursday. And we'll try to do some of these all throughout the week during the Cut Sweat live show. Maybe we'll do that as well. Thoughts on a top 20 parlay? 5 legs. JT, Hideki, Scott, Wyndham, and Henley. I mean, I like it. I'd probably throw Connors in there as well. That's a good one to round robin. So you do it with the 5 legs, then you do like 3 of the 5 and do the different combinations of those just because it would pay out so much. How do you adjust lineup building to fit a tournament you're playing in? For example, do you play more stars and scrubs in larger field as opposed to balance build or a smaller field event? It all really depends on pricing and the variables at this course. I expanded my player pool hugely this week just because of that variance that I talked about. When Raza and I discussed it this morning, it was kind of my point of you either want to super shrink what you're doing and just hope you get it right with your, you know, if you normally play a core of 25 guys, shrink it down to 13 and hope all 13 make the cut and you have a great chance of winning something. Or if you're like me and you want to throw a few more darts around, which I did with the AM, PM, the PM, AM. So obviously that's just a totally separate set of guys in lineups that are sanctioned away from each other, partitioned away from each other. That my core this week through 90 lineups is probably like 55 guys or something like that, which is way bigger than I normally do. But I've been trying to expand my player pool after years of playing a really tight player pool, and it's worked out for me so far. That's where I'm at. But I think it's one of those things where there is no right answer. Whatever's comfortable for you, whatever you see, that's what I would be doing for you. Pat, should I be scared about Akshay showing up consistently in my research? Do you think he's a good low-cost option? I do, but don't be mad when he's 7 over after 4 holes either. It all depends on his aggressiveness and what you see from him early on. Like, you will know basically through 9 holes what kind of week Akshay is going to have. He's going to be 3 over or 4 under because he's going to go attack. Like, he hits like every fairway. I think that's the one thing that people get twisted about Akshay a lot of the time. So let's go take a look at Bhatia on Fantasy National, fantasynational.com/Mayo. Get yourself that 20% discount on the monthly. But you can see like miscut, 13, miscut, 13th, 14th. Those are all of his starts this year. And you can see when the approach is on, it's really good. When he's putting, it's really good. When it goes bad, it gets really bad. The one thing he doesn't do is lose strokes off the tee. And we go up and we take a look at his accuracy. You're going to see dude hits all the fairways, man. Every single week, except for at the Century with the world's widest fairways. He actually like missed 1 or 2, and that was good enough to put him in the negative for the week. But basically, since the new season started, he's been one of the most accurate players on the PGA Tour, which is great news. I mean, I thought it would have been great news for Honda, where there's water everywhere, but he kept putting into the water on a second shot over and over. So there's always outs for Bhatia to blow up, but I do like his aggressiveness. It seems like there's softer conditions right now, and it might rain overnight on Friday and overnight Saturday to make sure it can't get too firm. So Hoagie, Scheffler, of course, Bhatia, even Bobby Mack to an extent. I just have no faith in him right now. Finau is another one. Just get a Siwoo, Corey Connors, guys that love to attack pins might be able to keep the ball on the green. No worry about bad bounces into the water if the greens are a little bit softer. So I do like Bhatia a lot in this circumstance as a GPP play, as a first round leader type play, that kind of thing, because he's going to blow up just as much as he's going to do well for you, as we've seen. I know you said course history doesn't matter as much, but what about course experience? Where were there many first-time winners? I think Craig Perks is the last first-time winner of this event. I think that was in 2002. I could have that wrong. I mean, there's not a lot of first-time winners who win anything anyway at any course. It has happened at this course in the past. Let's take a look at tournament history. Like, I think that Ludwig is going to be fine. He did play it as a junior, so it's not like he's never seen the course before. I think Justin Suh, first time last year, ended up with a really nice result. Let's take a look at the tournament history. Let's see, who were first timers last year? So you have Ludwig is a first timer. Tom Kim was T51 a year ago in his first time. Eric Cole was T27 in his first go. Nikolai and Knapp first timers this time. Kitayama was cut his first time. Eckroat is a debutant. Bhatia and Ryu are both debutants. Fox was T27. Svensson was T13 in their first starts a year ago. Davis Thompson was T68. Kevin Hughes never played it. Let's see, T19 for Brandon Wu a year ago in his first start at this tournament. Alex Smalley was T65 and made a hole-in-one in his first start. Dylan Wu was T35. So a bunch of guys who played it for the first time ever last year actually did pretty well. They didn't win, obviously, but winning is hard, especially when like the elite names win this tournament year over year, especially since it's moved to May. Thoughts on Spieth this week? I really have none. To be perfectly honest with you, if you told me he wins, I'm not going to be stunned. If he shoots 9 over, I'm not going to be super stunned. I didn't use him outside of the very specific wave stacks. Like, I have no money on him. He's not in any of my core lineups. He's not a core play. I'm not actively going against him on anything. I just kind of nothing him this week. He just didn't do it for me. Same as Theegala. I'm usually on both of them. Just Theegala sprays it so much with his driver. It really worries me at this course. What were his odds to miss the cut this week? Like, that I could see. I probably should have thrown him into that parlay. His miss the cuts odds are only plus 150. Like, I mean, he misses cuts. He's a great putter. He's a great chipper. But if you start driving it in the water, you can make some big numbers here. Pat, longtime listener, first time caller. That's not true, Alex. I can't yell because my kids are asleep upstairs. I'm doing this from home today. Alex Hahn. Really enjoy the show. One and done question. Cantlay, Homa, or the X-Man? It depends on what you want to do. I think Homa is probably the safest of those guys at the moment. I would take Cantlay of that bunch because no one is going to use Cantlay. So if you do get a good week at a Cantlay, not only is it the most amount of money you're probably going to win all year, no one else is going to have them. So it's like a double win in that circumstance. Plus, everyone blows a lot of big names who don't win at the same time. Instant Classic says, just want to thank you for the content and consistency. I really appreciate it. I mean, this is my job. This is what I do, but I really do love doing it. I've been reinvigorated since this new deal. I'm not going to lie to you. Many people have actually commented that I don't seem as angry on the shows. Contract negotiations are fucking stressful when you don't think that you might have a job after 8 years. I know a lot of people go through it, but when you still have to do your work in real time, visible on camera, it can start to weigh on you a little bit. I just feel like this has been lifted off of me, and Underdog has given me the ability to do more content like this on a regular basis. It just makes me so happy that I can sit here and talk to everyone, everyone's showing up and asking questions. That's awesome. I really do love this. So it doesn't feel like a job when I'm in front of the cameras. I've always said, this job kind of sucks when the cameras aren't rolling and you're doing everything else, the research, the editing, the social promotion, begging people to sign up for fucking Underdog all the time or Fantasy National. It's what I have to do in order to earn a living. But once this camera's on, this is the most fun in the world. So I'm happy that you're enjoying the content, and we got tons of it coming at you. So smash like, share the show around while you're here as well. And code Mayo at Underdog. I'll beg you. Go do it right now. First time deposit match up to $100. All right. I'm in a one and done style pool, says Joe, except we're able to pick each golfer 3 times for the season. That's not a one and done at all. Currently I have Scheffler, Zalatoris, and Matsuyama. Haven't chose them before. Any changes you suggest? Nah, I'd use Justin Thomas instead of Zalatoris, but that sounds good to me. Minwoo is a flop lag play, or nah? I'm not really going to him. It's just, he is hitting his irons better. That's nice. But the reason he finished so high up last year is he jarred an eagle from the middle of the fairway and made like every chip and every putt. And he has not been doing that over the course of the past few months. So I'm kind of off Minwoo here. You doing a cut sweat show? Yes. What's your favorite $6,500 and lower play? It's not lower. It is Carson Young at $5,500. I also really like Kevin Yu. Kevin Yu! at $6,100. He's another one like Bhatia in Pendrith. It's like top 20 or dead last. They're the type of guys that I like to put through my GPPs. I would say that Carson Young is safer just because he's accurate off the tees, very good with his irons, can't chip to save a lick, but maybe he can putt. He's like Hoagie. Dude, guy can't chip. But you just think if it's regular driving, regular iron show up, regular putter shows up, Carson Young should come like 36th or something like that, which would be great at 5,500 because that allows you to jam in so many high-end guys. Which narrative would be more epic? Scotty 20th anniversary or Lowry on St. Paddy's Day? Lowry on St. Paddy's Day, 100%. Yeah, I like that one. What do you think about using Homan one and done? I'm around the 1,000th place in the big one and done. I think he's going to be fine. I think he's going to be owned. But if you think that he is going to win, then boom, you can get in. No love for your boy, Jake Knapp. I used him in lineups. I like him. He's Cuss' second strongest selection of the week. I mean, one bad week doesn't just negate everything that he's done so far. I think he's going to be fine. Discover is now treating gambling deposit as cash advances and will charge a fee. Hope that isn't becoming universal. Yeah, that would be, or just find a card that's not Discover and do it that way. My MasterCard always works for it, and a certain Visa. But it all depends on your bank that you get the credit card through, too. Some banks have different lending and rules about depositing on sports betting sites than others, so just keep that in mind. But I do churn over and over. Got some ton of free flights out of it. It's awesome. Do the same thing on DK, too. Mav McNeely or the Glove? I like the Glove over Mav McNeely. Rick is good. He does run good, and he is good. Love Rick. Played golf here in Vegas with Rick. Awesome guy. I played golf in Vegas with Rick at TPC Summerlin the last time I was there. If anyone's in Vegas and has like an in at like Shadow Creek or something like that and would love to play with Jeff and I and invite us, like, we'll pay for the round. But if you can get us on and want to play with us, hit us up over Masters Weekend. We're going to be around. We can do it. What do you think about TPC Lee? 5,800 on DK this week. I totally forgot he was in this tournament. To tell you the truth, that could make some sense. I feel like I wanted to bet him at Puerto Rico because he had a strong like finish lap and he kind of like turned it around a little bit at Honda. Let's take a look at old TPC Lee here. Kyung Hyun Lee, KH Lee. How we doing? Yeah, the last time out, 4th at the Classic. It'd been a bad run for him, but I mean, not the greatest. These are all Bombers courses, so he was bad off the tee. He was bad on approach. Maybe. That's a good pull. TPC Lee. It's been a while. He has Vegas, Honda, Fortinet. It hasn't been a great run for him. I'm not going to lie to you about that. But you're taking a gamble on everyone. There's a reason that these losers are in the $7,000 or $5,000 range. Sorry. That, yeah, if you want to do it, go for it, man. Like I said, I prefer Carson Young, Chesson Hadley. And then I would go up to Kevin Yu, then to Pendrith, then to Bhatia in that range. That's where I'm going. But someone mentioned Carl Wan, KH Lee. Go nuts with it, right? Seen a lot of Asian players play really well at both Pete Dye courses and this course in particular. I have 2 bets on Hoagie. 2 bets, Hoagie 100 and Henley 65. Let's try to make some money. I will be making money if you win either of those bets, so let's roll. Hoagie would be a nice community win at a big spot. I'd love that. How do you feel about Henley, first round leader? I can see it. I didn't like the odds. Like Burns had longer odds than Henley did when I went and looked. It was 45 to 1 to 50 to 1, so I just went with Burns instead. Really like Hoagie this week at 7,800. I feel like the whole range, Siwoo, Harmon, EVR, Griot, feel like I'm going to live there. Yeah, you and everyone else, pal. I also like Todd at 65. No one talking about him in the 6Ks. That I agree with. Todd would be a contrarian play in that spot. But the rest of the guys that you mentioned, everyone is kind of using this week. So you need to get somewhat different with the other guys that you mix and match around them. I recommend. So those guys are going to pop up in a lot of Scheffler lineups. Scheffler's going to be like anywhere between, this is what I wrote in the newsletter, between like 25 and 40%. I don't really have a good gauge on it because we can take a look right now at Fantasy National and see what's going. So we're almost at 11,000 lineups being generated. It's 7:50 p.m. By the time 11 comes around, that's going to be like 25,000, 30,000 because people are getting all their lineups in now, especially the 150 maxers. But you can see that his calculated ownership and favorite percentage is high, 19% calculated ownership. However, he's being generated in 32% of lineups. So people are going out of their way to get Scotty in, even though it's not necessarily showing up projections. Now, some people might say that cost is too much. What else are you going to do? So here's what people are doing. They're using Scotty, and then they're dropping down to Hoagie, who is 78. So you drop down to Hoagie, And you can see, it's saying he's around 16%. Harmon's going to be in there. Then you see Keith Mitchell at 14, EVR at 11. Griot should pop up. He's around 8. I think he'll come in higher than that. Gim is another one who's going to be in a lot of those Scheffler lineups. But the key is, if you do the AM/PM wave, and we're talking about Hoagie, and we're talking about, who is it? It's Hoagie, Harmon. No, I think Harmon's actually in the other wave. So Siwoo, got Siwoo, Hoagie, Adam Scott, Adam Hadwin, Bezadenhout, Griot, EVR, and I believe Gim as well. Where the hell did Gim go? No, not Gim. So Gim will be in those ones. But all those guys are in the AM wave, and Scheffler's in the PM wave. So just by playing Scheffler as a PM guy, you avoid all of those guys. And coincidentally, if you do want to use those chalky guys in the mid sevens and you do the AM PM stack, they can't have, you would get them matched up with Rory and Xander. And even though you might not like those guys, that's how you get different if you want to use a collection of those guys. Just food for thought. I'm not saying it's going to work or anything. But that's how I have decided to play it. Sorry for asking about the other company. Didn't realize the background. Thank you for everything you do. Tom, you can make it up for me by going to Underdog Fantasy right now and using code Mayo. First time deposits, throw in $10. Play around, then enter that draw in the description right now. 15-second survey, you could win $1,000 on top of that. Do you feel like everyone is off Rory this week and could be a buy low spot? I do. Yeah, of course. And I'm going to get fucking suckered into playing Rory, and he's going to miss the cut. I'm going to feel like a goober. I mean, in full disclosure, don't tell anyone, but on my main one-and-done team, I'm using Rory because I think he's going to be like 5% owned or maybe less in the one-and-done after he burned everyone as the highest-owned guy last week. Let's go! And he's playing that AM/PM wave. I mean, I hope he doesn't win because I didn't bet on him, but getting like a top 5 from Rory would be nice. Hey, Pat, can you expand on what you talked about, the top 5, 10 bets versus the each way with the dead heat, grading against inconsistencies? Figure bets paid out in full are best, but wanted to hear more on it. I mean, I don't have time for that. I have 7 minutes left in this show. I mean, that's the risk that you take in that circumstance, but even if it gets chopped by 1, so Griot would go from 22 to 1 to 11 to 1 if he splits with one guy. That's still better than his plus 650 as a top 10 wager. If it gets split 3 ways, what does that go down to? 7. It's still higher. So if he splits the top 8 3 ways, you get a 3-way chop. It still pays higher than his top 10 number at plus 650. So that's the way that I would look at it. And I get the max upside with it as well if one of these guys do win because it's 2 separate bets. That's why I like doing it in tournaments like this. If you're a coward and don't want to do and want to get the ties, then by all means, go for it. It's probably a more safe floor bet, but I'm playing for upside here when I'm betting. Thanks for all the content, Pat. Congratulations on the new deal. Look forward to the Cuss debate next week. Yes, it's going to be live. We're going to ask people to submit their questions. We're going to have a link where you can take a 15-second video. We're going to play it live on air. They will not know the questions going into it. It's going to be a train wreck, but hopefully it is a glorious train wreck. I am so much looking forward to it. Can we take anything away from Phoenix and the greens there with the reclassification of the greens at the players? Scotty putts best in Phoenix, correct? Scotty putts best actually at Bay Hill of all of the tournaments. But I mean, Scotty barely putted well last year and won this by 4. And I think every other year he'd actually drop strokes. Like, I don't think that you can look at where does Scotty putt well versus where does Scotty doesn't putt well. I think just Scotty doesn't putt well by a rule, and then maybe he gets lucky some weeks and is seeing it well and drops everything. That's what happened last week. And just because he did it last week doesn't mean he's going to do it this week. That's not how putting works. It could happen, for sure, but I wouldn't be banking on that. Connors Carson Young or Scott McNeely? Connors Carson Young. Any love for Ben Silverman as a cheap option? That one's not for me, but I've seen a lot of people talk about that one. Who did Cuss say didn't have a chance of winning? You know, I did not ask him. You should tweet him right now to find that out. Thursday night Cuss debate in March Madness is peak content. Oh yeah, throw on the debate and watch March Madness on the side and you will have a good time next Thursday on Mayo Media Network. Did you use your plus 300 boost on your favorite outright bet or do you use it on a bomb play? It's a 30% boost, not a plus 300 boost. So I took Hideki from 33 up to 42 is what I did for it. We will work on Shadow Creek, hook up and let you know. Yeah, just DM me on Instagram. That's usually the best way because I do not have it open on Twitter. The last time I opened up my DMs on Twitter was on a football Sunday, and I got 78 start-sit questions from absolute fucking goobers in the span of like 10 minutes. No, not happening. Don't want to answer those. On Instagram, it's more of my personal account. No one follows me for fantasy over there, so I will reply to the ones on Instagram. If you're ever looking to get a hold of me, or just email the show. Respond to the newsletter email. I usually see those. Underdog, give me Billy Horschel Pickums? That's kind of a question, I suppose. How far down price-wise are you willing to go to fit Scotty? Who's your favorite 9K, 10K guy to pair with? Man, I can't remember. I think that I did play a Justin Thomas, Scotty Scheffler lineup. So I was able to do that with Carson Young, with Kevin Yu, with Eckroat, and someone in like the mid-sevens. That's the way that I would be doing it. Just wanted to say, wonderful job filling in for Tambo today, and love the alliance with Ship It and Mayo. Absolute PGA studs. I love the dudes over at Ship It. Tambo's my buddy, so I'm going to do whatever I can to support him. I mean, I'm not actually affiliated with Ship It Nation in any kind of way, but, you know, Tambo comes on my show, so it's the least I can do when he's away to help him try to manage the content, because he's given so much to me and my viewers. I can try to do the same to him. Am I insane for considering old man Steve Stricker in DFS? Probably. With you mentioning Rick is heading to Augusta, just curious, have you ever been to Augusta to cover the Masters? I have not. They will not let me on those grounds. I'm just in the lottery every year. I could have gone a few times, but this is the first year. I'm getting out of my comfort zone this year. There's something very comfortable about being able to do the shows from your own home, knowing the equipment's going to work, knowing that you don't have to go set up, knowing that you don't have to travel, and you can continue on with your regular routine. When I travel, I like to travel for vacation, not work. Like I did Radio Row at the Super Bowl, I'm never fucking doing that again. Like it becomes a lot. And I feel like going to Augusta would be a lot, but I got to get in the gates at some year. So yes, I probably will end up covering it there. We're going to do President's Cup this year. We already have that book. So me, Cuss, Jeff, Tambo, Kenny, we're all going to be on location in Montreal. That would be a fun one. And we might even have some parties at the place where we're at and do some live shows there. If you do head up to Montreal for President's Cup in September, that would be a lot of fun. Anyway, I got to get out of here. Any feelings on Taylor Moore? In fact, he's made 7 cuts so far, but no amazing finishes. He's played like 4 elevated events and then one without a cut in them. So he's made 7 cuts. He's just been dog shit. So no, I'm not doing it. That's it. Underdog fantasy. Go play the one that I already did. We can go play another one right now. Let's build one on the fly. This is never usually a good one to do. Let's see here. Let's go lower for Sam Burns. I like Sam Burns a lot in round 1. So this is for Thursday. I will tweet out the link the moment I end the show. Actually, I can probably throw it in the chat. So just hold on 1 second here. So let's go Sam Burns lower. What's Ludwig? 70.5. He needs to shoot 2 under. All right. Morikawa's like Mr. Round 1. Birdies are better. First round leaderboard. Keegan, Chris Kirk, Shane Lowry. And we got to go Shane Lowry round 1, right? That's like when he's good. Eric Cole. Cole's hole. Let's go. Actually, I can probably bring this up on the screen. That would probably be helpful for people. And we can play along with it. If anyone has a suggestion on what I should go with here, throw it in the chat right now as I finish this up. And I can go back and look at it here. Adam Scott. I like Adam Scott in round 1. We can go lower on him. Do we want to go a banger here? Let's see. Siwoo round 1. You can't even go as lower on 17. I like this one, the lower or higher. Will they birdie, basically, hole number 17? The answer is usually no on a lot of that stuff. Xander, Rose, Sahith. I'd probably go... Do we have more bogeys? I think Kenny played that one. Bogeys are worse. Lower than... that would pay 8.5. What a multiplier for a bogey-free round. No thanks on that one. 3 bogeys or worse. Lower... do we have other bogeys or worse? Bogeys or worse over 3. Yeah, but 3's a push. I don't like that. I'd rather play it. I mean, I'm just going to stay away from Thigala on that because he always just puts the fucking lights out and just drives me insane. I just want to play lower guys for round 1. Let's go Hideki. The best he's probably feeling is right now he needs to shoot 2 under. So nothing crazy. So what does this pay right now? Let's go. It only pays 6-1. No, that's no fun. Yeah, I guess because I played probably some pretty popular ones here and I'm playing all unders. Everything is correlated together. So who is someone who's going to suck in round 1 or at least spray the ball around? Yeah, let's go Thigala. Let's do that one. Bogeys are worse. Oh, a scorcher. What are scorchers? I mean, it tells us right now. Now we get a 17-1. If we take Lowry out, let's just take Hideki out and see what happens with that. And one still pays 10-1 on a 4-banger. Let's do that. Let's go $100, pays $1,049. Boom. Let's enter that. Let's confirm that. It's saying I can't go in the fucking location. Of course, on this computer, I don't have it turned on. All right, well, that was a big fail on my part. I will play that one the moment that I get out, and I will tweet it out on Twitter. How about that? Did anyone have one? How you feel about Horschel? DFS week long. I like him this week. So I will tweet out. If you do want to tail that, you probably don't. It's probably going to be a loser, to be perfectly honest with you. But that's just the way that I like to play it. We'll go 100 on that to pay 1,000 for a nice round one sweat. I have the other one in the newsletter right now if you want to check that out. I got to get out of here because I'm filming with Cust and Jeff for the Aaron Rodgers RFK VP show coming out tomorrow and a recap of free agency. So please tune into that. Smash the like, share the show around. Fantasy National, Underdog, everything you can do to help out. I want to thank you all for a great week so far at the Players. We got more coming on Friday for a live Cut Sweat show, and it's going to be a great time. So tune into that too. All right, I'm Pat Mayo. Good luck this week. I'll see you next time.